Let me tell you something most politicians and media experts will never say out loud, and that is this: America may have the biggest army in the world, but it no longer has the strength that truly matters. We have built up tanks, warplanes, nukes, satellites, and cyber weapons, but we have torn down our character, our unity, and our courage. The kind of strength that wins wars is not made in weapons, factories, it is made in the soul of a people, and that part of our nation is crumbling fast. You cannot run a global empire on bombs and drones alone. There has to be something deeper, something sacred, that holds a nation together when the storms come, and I am afraid we lost that a long time ago. You see, every world power in history had a moment when it looked unbeatable: Rome, Babylon, Persia, even Nazi Germany for a while, and then, without warning, they collapsed from the inside, not the outside, not because the enemy had better weapons, but because the people had lost their spirit. That is where America is standing right now, on the edge. We are addicted to comfort, obsessed with speed, blind to truth, and deeply divided over everything that once made us strong. We do not teach discipline in our schools anymore. We mock morality. We cancel absolute truth. We are driven more by feelings than by faith. And here comes the dangerous part. We still think we are ready for war. We still believe that because we spend billions on defense contracts and send aircraft carriers around the planet, that we can respond to anything at any time. But what does that mean when half our citizens do not even trust each other, when soldiers coming back from service feel forgotten, when the military is spending more time on politics than on preparation? We are fighting imaginary battles at home while real ones are forming outside our borders. We are posting hashtags while other nations are building alliances. We are arguing over pronouns while other countries are programming drones for battle. And if you think I am exaggerating, ask yourself, why is it that our enemies seem more committed to their cause than we are to ours? Why is it that nations like China or Iran or even Russia, no matter how corrupt their systems may be, still have populations that shout their loyalty and are willing to risk their lives for their homeland? Do we even feel that here anymore? Do young men in America wake up willing to die for truth or for honor or for justice? Do we even know what we are trying to protect besides a paycheck or a personal brand? We have confused entertainment with purpose. We have confused freedom with chaos, and most dangerously, we have confused having power with having strength. They are not the same. Power is the ability to destroy. Strength is the ability to endure, and nations that cannot endure will not survive, not in a world like this, not in the firestorm that is coming. And I know some of you might be thinking, we will be fine. We always bounce back, but this time feels different. This time we are distracted, not determined. This time we assume we cannot fall because we always thought we were too big to fail. But so did every empire before they fell. Make no mistake, friends, we are not ready for World War III because we are fighting the wrong war within ourselves. Our foundations are shaking, and we are too busy arguing over surface-level issues to notice the cracks below. And here is the simple truth: without a revival of courage, unity, discipline, and absolute moral spine, our tanks and missiles will do nothing. When the enemy comes knocking, what we win on the battlefield, we will lose in the heart. If our heart is already gone, we will not be able to fight. Let that settle in. Do you know what is worse than weakness? Overconfidence, because weakness makes you cautious, but overconfidence makes you blind. And this country right now is walking blindfolded into the most dangerous decade in modern history, thinking we still have it all under control. We don't. We really don't. We keep hearing that America is the supreme superpower, that no one can challenge us, that we have military dominance in the air, on land, under the sea, and in cyberspace. But if all of that is true, why are our enemies moving without fear? Why is China building new alliances in Africa and the Indo-Pacific? Why is Iran firing drones with confidence? Why is Russia not afraid of consequences anymore? Because they see it too, what we don't want to admit. We are tired, we are distracted, and we are divided. Look around. Our political system is not stable right now. It is a constant civil war with sharper words and Deeper hate every year. Our people don't trust their government. Our government doesn't even trust itself. And somewhere deep down we know it. We know that we are not moving with strategy anymore. We are reacting. We are falling behind and pretending that we are leading. This is not about disrespect. This is about reality, and reality is knocking louder every day, ready to break through the door in the middle of this global buildup of threats. Instead of mapping out bold strategies, we are spending more time debating who offended who used the wrong word, and who should be canceled next. We are building divisions where we need unity. We are fueling anxiety where we need backbone. Our enemies are not sitting on Twitter. They are sitting in war rooms, planning digital strikes, planning energy blackouts, planning supply chain disruptions. They are not stuck in cycles of political drama. They are building foreign bases, increasing reserve troops, and sharpening their weapons. And where are we? Still thinking no one would ever dare touch us. That is the problem. When you assume the world still fears you, you stop preparing to be feared. You stop preparing at all. You lose the urgency that kept previous generations awake at night, making sure the next war never happened on American soil. But now that urgency is gone, and what replaced it is entitlement, we think just because we won the last war, we will somehow win the next without even trying. We think history owes us victory, but history does not work like that. Every time we take the bait of pride and arrogance, we move one step closer to collapse, because we mistake reputation for reality and illusion for strength. And the worst part is this: we have spread this overconfidence across the world, telling our allies we will always be there, while we ourselves are stretched too thin, telling ourselves we are morally superior, while we actively ignore the moral erosion taking place in our own cities. There are soldiers right now asking if the country they are defending believes in them. There are commanders wondering if the political machine will let them lead with clarity or force them to follow a script. There are allies around the world wondering if America would actually show up if the next war broke out, not just with speeches, but with sacrifice, because war is not won with slogans or social campaigns. It is won with strategy, determination, and blood. And if we are not willing to pay that cost, then we should stop pretending we are ready for what is coming. The truth is hard to hear, but necessary to face. We are moving slower than the threats forming around us, and we are more concerned with exporting our values than defending them at home. The world is not waiting for us to wake up, and neither are the enemies who have already mapped out the soft points of our armor. We are not ready, not because we cannot be, but because we refuse to be, because readiness requires humility, and we are still too proud to admit we are no longer as sharp as we once were. You cannot win tomorrow's war with a yesterday mindset, and right now America is living in memories, not reality, until we return to the fire of urgency we had during the most dangerous moments in our history. Until we rediscover the clarity that built our defenses in the first place, we will keep drifting further into danger, thinking we are standing still, and by the time we realize it, the invasion may not come with tanks. It may come with code, with chips, with satellites, with strategic blackouts. And it will be too late for pride to protect us. Overconfidence is not just dangerous, it is deadly. Let me say something that most people will not dare to say in public anymore. And that is this: America is facing not just a geopolitical war, but a spiritual collapse, and that is more dangerous than any missile or foreign army. We are not just unprepared for war on the outside, we are unarmed on the inside, and that matters more than most people realize, because you cannot defend a nation that has lost its soul. You cannot protect freedom when you no longer understand where that freedom came from in the first place. We used to be a nation that prayed, a nation that was deeply flawed but still grounded in truth, still reaching for something higher, still aware that there was a force above us greater than politics, greater than profit, greater than power. But now we are entertained, not awakened. We are distracted, not disciplined. We are more outraged by tweets than we are burdened by the weight of our own condition. Think about it. When is the last time you heard National leaders speak not just policy, but conviction, not just strategy, but repentance, not just loud words, but quiet truth. We live in a time where morality is mocked, where truth is relative, where God is pushed into the back corner like some outdated decoration, and we wonder why our foundations are cracking. We removed prayer from classrooms and replaced it with confusion. We silenced the voices that used to carry authority, not because they were perfect, but because they stood for something. We traded conviction for convenience and purpose for pleasure, and you can feel it, can't you? A kind of emptiness we try to fill with everything and anything: politics, headlines, entertainment, substances, identity debates. We fill the silence so we don't have to hear the voice calling us back to who we were meant to be. And here is the part that scares me. We think we can fix this with policies or presidents or platforms, but all those efforts will fail if the people themselves are broken from within. There was a time when even in crisis you could feel the spirit of this country rise. Neighbors helped neighbors, families prayed together, churches stood as beacons of light, communities came together in middle of pain and reminded each other that we were still one nation under God. Now we see a different picture, a nation under stress, under fire, under division, and no one really knows what to believe anymore, and that sets the perfect stage for collapse, not just from outside threats, but from within, because the greatest war is not always fought with guns. Sometimes it is fought in the human heart, a war between truth and lies, between light and darkness, between courage and compromise. The dictators and superpowers and anti-American regimes out there, they are not just betting on us to be weak militarily, they are counting on us to be broken spiritually, because a spiritually weak nation cannot resist evil. It becomes blind to it and eventually welcomes its own defeat disguised as progress. And if we think we can enter a third world war without our spirit being revived, then we are living in fantasy, because the cost of that kind of war will break even the greatest empires if their soul is already gone. You do not win wars with just tanks and jets. You win wars with conviction, with unity, with leaders who seek divine wisdom, and soldiers who know what they are fighting for beyond money or survival. You do not rebuild peace with empty hearts. You build it with people who have remembered who they are, whose they are, and what matters most. There was a time when people walked into battle with fear, but not without faith, people who knew they might die but still stood because they believed in something eternal. Do we still have that? Are we teaching the next generation to fear nothing and respect nothing, or are we pointing them back to the foundation? This country was once built on God, cannot be left behind if we expect to be led right now. The world is burning right now. Nations are choosing sides right now. Dark ideologies are rising, and all we seem to be doing is looking inward, fighting each other, numbing ourselves with noise and calling it freedom. But real freedom is not the absence of restraint, it is the presence of righteousness. And if righteousness is gone, then freedom will not be far behind. We are entering a storm that will test not just our strength, but our soul. And a soulless nation cannot survive what is coming. We need more than strategy. We need awakening the truth. Is this the world is moving faster than we are, and our enemies are not waiting for us to catch up while we are wasting time arguing about things that will not matter in wartime. They are locking in their strategies. They are testing systems, forming coalitions, rehearsing attacks, and building technologies that can paralyze entire nations without ever firing a single bullet. They do not need to invade us in the old-fashioned way, when they can collapse our grids, shut down our supply lines, and cripple our economy with the click of a button. And while we sit in meetings to debate political correctness, others are building movements to dismantle decades of Western influence. They do not fear what we say anymore, because they already see we are too confused to act. I want you to understand this, because it is critical. History has always shown the same pattern. Empires fall when they wait too long to respond. Empires fall when they talk more than they act, and empires fall when they give their enemies time to grow strong and united. Look at what is happening right now, and not just on the surface. While we look one way, everything is shifting behind the scenes. China is not just expanding its military. It is expanding its voice, its network, its influence. It is buying ports, setting up bases, and making sure that no nation can challenge its growing control in the Indo-Pacific. Russia is not just focused on Ukraine, it is testing how far it can go before anyone stops it, knowing that the West is too divided to strike back with one voice, and Iran is watching it, all ready to push its agenda in the vacuum of leadership, rising as a silent force with loud consequences. These nations are not just preparing for war, they are preparing for a moment when America chooses silence over sacrifice. And right now, that danger is closer than most people want to admit. We are not ready because we still think war will look like it did in the past, with tanks storming borders, cities under siege, and fighter jets roaring overhead. But the next global conflict will sneak in slowly. It will come through cables and code. It will rise inside our systems. It will strike not just soldiers, but everything we depend on for ordinary life: our water, our power, our satellites, our communication, even our minds, through information warfare and digital control. And here is the most chilling part. They do not need to conquer us. If they can simply break our will, they do not need to defeat us in battle. If we first defeat ourselves through constant distraction, division, and denial, that is why we must stop assuming that time is on our side, because it is not. Every moment we delay, they advance. Every argument we start, they gain another inch. Every time we hesitate, they calculate a new way to exploit our pause, because war does not wait for convenience. It does not hold back. While we figure things out, it comes when you least expect it. And if you are not already standing strong by the time it arrives, then it will be too late to start building that strength. We do not need to strike first, but we do need to be ready. We need to restore that fierce vigilance that once made this country a force to be reckoned with. The kind of realism that understands peace is preserved by preparation, not by wishing it into existence. And let me say this: there is nothing more dangerous than a powerful nation that has forgotten why it became powerful in the first place, because that kind of nation will lose everything while believing it is invincible. America must wake up, not just to defend borders, but to defend what we believe in. And more importantly, we need to know that belief still exists. We must stop pretending the threats are far away when they are already at the gate. We must stop looking through the lens of comfort and start seeing through the eyes of clarity. Other nations, other powers, other lands are not waiting. They are not pausing. They are not unsure. They are focused. They are disciplined. And they are bold. And boldness is what the world responds to. Not speeches, not pride, not nostalgia, but courage and conviction, and a will to act when the time calls for it. And make no mistake, that time is now.